Hi everybody, it's Stephanie Thomas
and Mary Thomas
of Thomas and Thomas PC, also known as the Sales Tax Sisters. And before we start on this video for the Nexus series, I just want to thank everyone who signed up and everyone who's clicked to actually follow the series and follow us. We really appreciate it. We want to use this channel as a kind of guide, a general guide to help you understand sales and use tax here in the States. So
with that, we are on the third part of the series, and one of the things that makes life so much easier, and that is people ask me, well, or they ask us, is this taxable? And kind of backing up a little bit, we talked about what physical and economic nexus is in the first video. We talked about why you care, why you need to understand it in the second video. This is another really good reason why you need to understand whether or not you need to register somewhere. Here's the gift. If you're not required to register in a jurisdiction, you don't care whether they tax it.
Exactly. So for example, if you are selling something and you're located in Texas, because that's where we are. I like to use Texas examples. You're selling something and you're located in Texas. You have no physical presence in Washington. And so you sell one item, you sell one widget, and you ship it via UPS or some other common carrier to Washington. And that's the only transaction you have in the state of Washington with a Washington resident. Then you don't have, depending on how the dollar amount we're talking about, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to say a $10 item. You don't have physical presence in that jurisdiction, and you don't have economic nexus in that jurisdiction 9 times out of 10, because you probably do not meet their threshold for establishing economic nexus in that jurisdiction. So whether or not that item is taxable, you don't care, because you're not required to register. You're not required to register in that jurisdiction, which means you're not required to understand the taxability of the item that you sold in that jurisdiction. So you don't care. Is that simple?
Simple.
Simple example.
One thing that we talked about when we were talking about things that establish physical nexus too, and it's something that we'll put in the bottom of the descriptor on that, is that, you know, you really do have to be very careful about going into and understanding what activity gives you any kind of nexus. And we've talked about that ad nauseum. So we're going to reiterate that because it's very important. The answer that we gave you here works if you don't have physical or economic nexus. And different states have different thresholds for what triggers physical nexus. Some places are really stingy in terms of saying, hey, if y'all were here for 5 minutes, we got you.
If you went to a trade show, we got you.
Yeah.
So it is very jurisdictionally specific. So you need to understand the jurisdictions that you're going into, whether or not what activity establishes nexus in those jurisdictions. In the example, the general example I just gave you, you know, that Texas seller had no physical presence. So he had no physical nexus in that Washington State.
They've never left Texas. And
that's
believe
right.
it or not, there's some people who are like that.
That's true.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. And they did, and so they had no physical nexus in Washington, and they had no economic nexus in Washington. When you have those situations where you have no physical presence and you have no economic presence either, then
that's the answer.
That's the answer. You don't need to know about the taxability of the item that you sold into that jurisdiction because you have no duty to register.
Exactly. And if you're not registered, you can't turn in any collections that you make anyway. Never collect money on behalf of any jurisdiction that you're not registered in.
Oh, no, that's a no-no.
They don't forgive that.
No.
That's a fraud.
That's a fraud.
So
That's tax collected, not remitted, because if you're not registered, you can't remit it to the appropriate taxing jurisdiction. So that's a no-no. Don't do that.
exactly. So with that, please, if you have any questions, let us know. We did not talk about home rule states. That's going to be something else. And there are about 5 of those, I think. So
Yeah, it's not a lot of them.
it's not a lot of them.
But
just know that in those states that the registration with the state taxing authority is separate from this registration with localities.
Local
So-
taxing jurisdictions. And just like Mary stated in the other videos, this is just a general guideline. We are not giving you any kind of legal advice, people.
We don't know your fact pattern.
No.
Nobody can give you competent advice without knowing fully what your fact pattern is.
So these are just things that you need to think about.
Yes, if you want specific help, that's what we do. So reach out. But yeah, these are just general guidelines. We're pointing you in the right direction,
Exactly.
so that you don't get your hands slapped and be in a situation where you're mad at yourself or explaining to your boss or whoever you report to that you just didn't know. And it's easy not to know.
Exactly, because we all have things that we have to do,
Mm-hmm.
and things that are pressing on our minds, and sometimes certain things slip through the crack. This is just a general guideline to help you realize, oh, I need to think about that.
Exactly. So with that having been said, if you like the video, please thumb it up. If you have any comments, any questions, please let us know.
And if you haven't subscribed,
Please consider doing so.
Yes.
So with that, we're going to wish you a good one. And that's it. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.